Kent Jensen with Kent Coach. Welcome to my second video that I have in building a sales program. So you see we have our dry erase board behind us. So we're going to build on that a little bit before we get started. Show you Main Street Bistro, good time all the time. You're right, your boy used to be a bouncer. I wear this shirt as a reminder that sometimes we got to do jobs we don't want to do to get to where we want to get to. And so for me, what that meant is working at a mink farm, working as a bouncer, customer service from my home. I've done it all to try and get to where I'm trying to get to. And I'm thankful for my dad who taught me that it's important to work. I lived on a dairy farm till I was in first grade, till I was 6, 7. And then from there, I worked every summer, worked at a mink farm, worked hoeing beets. So no stranger to getting out and doing what I need to do to get to where I need to go. So I'm thankful for my dad for teaching me that. Now, that being said, what we have here is we're going to start building a customer profile. So then we can create a strategy to close the sale, to build trust. If you remember, trust, our sales is trust, vulnerability, and a solution to that vulnerability, right? So in order to understand that process a little better, in order to build on that process, in order to build the trust, I got to answer those questions. Now, I'm going to share a quick excerpt from 0 to 1, a book by Peter Thiel. And he kind of to reiterate our point last week about becoming business analysts. All salesmen are actors. Their priority is persuasion, not sincerity. That's why the word salesman can be a slur, and the used car dealer is our archetype for shadiness. But we only react negatively to awkward, obvious salesmen. That is the bad ones. Like acting, sales works best when hidden. That's why we're becoming business analysts. You want it to be natural. You want it to be like making a friend. That's how you should build rapport. It's not forced. It's I'm meeting this person and I see him as a person and I want to see a friendship form from this, right? So complex sales, if your average sales 7 figures or more, every detail of every deal requires close personal attention. It might take months to develop the right relationship. So depending on how big a deal we're trying to close, that's the level of relationship we need to focus on, right? So how do we get to that point where we can build on that relationship? Well, the more information you know about who you're trying to sell to, the better. And so you got to find that out. You got to do a little bit of digging. If it's a referral, it's easy because you know what questions to ask the person to get that information right off the bat. But we're not working with referrals here. We'll work with those a little later. I'll show you that process too. We're working with sales that we dug up, the fruits of our labor, the hardest of the hardest, the cold calls, all this cold emails. That's what we're going to start with. So I need as much bullets as possible. So I have a client profile doc. Now, normally what I do is I do my research here. I'm a little old fashioned. I like to write. And so I research companies in here. I got my pens and paper. And then from there, I go digital once I have a good idea if they're going to be a fit or not. Now, who is the client, right? That's what we want to answer. Now, I have 2 answers. I have the ideal client of who I'm looking for. And then I have a more focused, more direct approach. So first is the broad part, right? My ideal client is a business whose leaders value emotional intelligence and have the patience and humility to grow. I can bring stability and calm to any business. This will enable them to flourish and grow. The value I add will be reflected. So I have that written down. I have my ideal client. I read that. so that my subconscious starts to filter information through that lens. So then from there, okay, let's focus it down. This is abroad. This could be anybody. So I'm going to focus it down to a local gym. Now, normally I'd put the gym's name and then I would look up, and I'll show you how a little bit later, the owner of the gym through the Secretary of State. So I have his information there too. And then, so who the client is, it's a little easier to define. That's the easiest question to answer. The next one is the value. What is the value that I can provide to this particular business? So the value is increased revenue through more disciplined leadership, by coaching emotional intelligence, by creating more emotionally intelligent leaders. This will enable them to better manage stress and better manage their direct reports. And then the expectations I'm going to set is going to be through the organizational intelligence analysis, where I can identify the strengths and weaknesses of the organization, automatic reactions to stressful situations, and create individualized coaching plans based on strength-based coaching. This next one is going to be the hardest one, and it's going to be a continuing process. Needs, objectives, and challenges. Well, obviously the needs are continued revenue growth, expansion, and securing your clients. And they do that by providing a service through training programs and providing a clean gym. Now, the best way to continue that is employee engagement, leadership development, and overall organizational awareness. Now, those will grow as, like I said, the more I get to know about the business, the more I understand, the more I talk to people within the business, I can figure those out, and those will expand even more. Now, let me show you one quick thing. Switch to this page. So this is how I look up owners of businesses. It's just through the Secretary of State page. It's fairly simple. Every state has one, and you can look up business entity searches that tell you exactly who the owners are, or who the managing group is, or who the registered agent is. From there, even if you're not, so for me, since I want to work with a business completely, the main decision makers who I want to go after, that's who the client is primarily. If that's not who you're trying to target, I still think it's okay to find out this information, because it helps you understand their objectives and challenges if you understand who is giving those objectives and challenges. So simple, basic, I'm going to grow on those. I'm going to give you 3 fully made client profiles in our next video. And then we're going to talk about how I'm going to use reciprocation, unity, and liking to get and start getting in and building the foundation of the relationship, so that I can help their businesses grow through increased revenue by coaching their leaders and coaching everyone involved. So if you have any questions, go ahead and drop them in the comments, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. I'm going to drink a little bit of my Red Bull. Maybe they'll sponsor me someday. Probably not, but it gets me hyped. All right. Perfect. Have a wonderful day, people.